can't get real close to the camera and tell those deep down secrets all the time.
Onefootflipper.
So I've really been thinking about it lately, and I've got to get back to buying large collections. That is all I did in my beginning full-time days, and I made so much more money then. I think the only reason I got out of it is because at first I just had 3 large collections fall into my lap about 6 months apart from each other. And then they stopped falling into my lap, so I never really tried too hard to search for them. You'll see me in the videos. I'll get small collections now and then, something that'll get me by for a week, but I need to go finding those big collections where I drop thousands of dollars at once and I get 3-4 months inventory at once. That's what I need to be looking for, because that's what I'm best at. Both because I'm an expert in the types of collections that I'm going to buy, and because sourcing is otherwise difficult for me. You know, I make money every time I go out to the Goodwill outlet, but time-wise, I don't do great there with the amount of time involved, because I end up with a bunch of dissimilar items that thus take longer to list. It's much easier to list a bunch of similar items in a row than it is to list a piece of plush, then a piece of glass, then a book, then 14 Hot Wheels in a lot, than a crock pot. It's much more difficult where each item is different. I much prefer stacks of similars, you know, like to list 50 books in a row, or if I'm listing miniatures, I'll just list miniatures one right after the other, or put them in lots. And that's also part of, you know, knowing your category. Like with those fantasy and science fiction miniatures that I sell, it might not occur to you, but there are some lot sizes are better than others. Like if it goes to a war game, if your lot of this troop is the size that is normally played, exact size that's normally played in the game, then that lot is going to make you the most money than having too many of them in there. You've wasted, you know, if there's normally 10 troopers in a squad, you put 12 in your lot, you would have been better off putting 10. Sticking those other 2 in a separate lot for somebody who needs some replacements, than putting 12, because that person who's buying them probably not going to use 12. Now, you know my specialties are tabletop games of all types and miniatures. If you find the fantasy, science fiction, and historical miniatures, why don't you just send them to me? I'll pay you for them, and we both win. Or you could also put in the time to become an expert. And believe me, getting started in those areas is extremely time consuming. It is not fast nor easy to figure out, oh, what kind of tank is this? How many of these tanks should be put together? All sorts of things like that. Or what is this alien? You know, and I'm still learning with that, but yeah, so if you happen to find that stuff at a great price, send it to me. I'll make sure you make some money on it, and I'll make some money on it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start advertising on Facebook Marketplace and through word of mouth and get myself some more big collections. All right, let's take a break and see what in the world my text message is. My wife, she wants chocolate syrup. All right, man, this has been a slow 2 days here. I sold this Warhammer 40,000 rulebook, 6th edition. That's multiple editions back, $10.67. I'll put a picture up on the screen. I just got if you watch my recent video on the Warhammer purchase, this is some of the valuable figures from that purchase. I sold a lot of 10 of them for $95. This does include one that is damaged. That's the first to sell from that video. This is a definite profit, but I couldn't tell you how much because I have not inventoried the entire purchase yet. Sold a anime style Ultra Pro playmat, $5.46. Not bad, stuff's all paid for. Got this one from JDF, Jimmy the Dolphin Flipper. This is a professionally painted D&D miniature. This sold for $26.42, and Jimmy's going to get some money on his spreadsheet. And that this is all I've got for today, other than some various cards and stuff on the card account, and nobody wants to see that. It's boring. The Warhammer buy you saw in a very recent video, I have already sold the total Warhammer board game buy was $530. I've already sold $350 out of it, and I have not listed most of the Warhammer miniatures. That's what I'll be getting on when I get home later. Right now, Julie's at her Harry Potter Jedi Academy training meeting, so, and I'm waiting out here in the car because the, chairs there are terrible. And that's not because I'm fat, it's because of the prosthetic leg. If you've got a prosthetic leg like mine, a lot of chairs are just very uncomfortable to sit on. The casing of the leg jams into your crotch or is painful against your leg. It's much more comfortable for me to sit in a car seat. Basically, I need to sit in a seat that's fairly padded most of the time. Flat and hard seats can get painful really quickly. Luckily, my sales pretty much have nowhere to go but up from here. I am at, I think, a 3-year low right now, so it can only get better. Anybody else at that sort of low point right now, multi-year low? I mean, I'm not sad about it. I'm not crying, not making a video. eBay hid all my listings because they don't like me. They prefer the large sellers, even though I'm a large seller. Everybody always thinks that somebody else is the large seller, when in reality, most of the people who think enough to think that are probably the large seller themselves. You want to do me a favor? My friend Helo's World, the railroad reseller, he's recently had a bit of an injury in a big car accident. Why don't you put a link below? Why don't you just go out, subscribe to his channel, watch a couple of his videos, give him a couple of thumbs up and comments, give him something, put a little bright spot in his life to help make up for what he's got going on right now, because it was not his fault. But he's sitting at home figuring out how injured he really is right now, rather than being out there really doing the kind of stuff that he wants to do. How many of you are out there doing the sort of stuff you want to do? How many of you are in totally different places in your life than you ever thought you would be? I never thought I'd have one leg. Also never thought I'd be heavy either. I didn't start gaining any weight until I got out of high school. I assumed I would be very successful until I was about 20 years old, at which point I realized it completely flip-flopped on that. That's when in high school, you still believe what your family tell you, what the world tells you. And at that time, in the early to mid-90s, they say, oh yeah, since I came from a mostly blue-collar family, oh yeah, after high school, you just go out and get a good job. And you're set. There weren't any good jobs. Was never given an opportunity to get a good job. Those were still filled up with the people from previous generations who had been extending their retirement, and you weren't getting, for the most part, those positions that previously didn't require degrees had started to require degrees, but the idea wasn't out there as much. So I think there's a lot of people my age who are still underemployed. Of course, now I think I'm far more financially successful than I thought I would have been 10 or 15 years ago. 10 or 15 years ago, I had assumed that I was going to eke the rest of my life along being definitely lower class, but being decent with money and never really owning much of anything. And hey, that's not true now. I've got a paid off house. We have like 5 cars that are paid for, although 3 of them aren't actually drivable. Yeah, we're those sort of people. My Mercedes has been sitting for years. My truck, my antique mini truck needs to have a real mechanic look at it, and since that's really a toy, I can't justify that in the budget right now. Then my wife's got a Toyota with a dent in it that we just want to get rid of, and we are missing both the title and a lien release for it, So that's all fun. And since my name's not on it, I can't do anything about that, which puts it to my wife, which makes it, 50 times harder because she works a slightly extended banker schedule to where there's no possibility she could ever get anything done from any place that also runs a banker schedule. So either way, because of that, there's been a Toyota with a dent in it that actually works just fine. My wife just doesn't want to drive it anymore. Been sitting there in front of my house with plates expired for 2 years now. Anybody want a 2007 Toyota Yaris with a dent in the back recorder? Make you a good deal, especially if you don't need the title. You ever go to start listing an item and realize that something's wrong with the item and you can't list it and you're almost sort of relieved? And that happened twice yesterday. Some Goodwill bin stuff. I opened up this sexual trivia game from the 70s and realized, oh, there's a whole bunch of specks of mold in this. Yeah. I'm just going to throw this in the trash can. Oh, hey, but this stack of 10 orgasm certificates, those look just fine. So I put those up on eBay as singles with standard envelope and threw the rest of the game in the trash. And then there was a Milton Bradley Shark Attack 2 that was so lovingly given to the bins, being that both the shark was broken and almost every piece was missing. I did not look at that game hard enough when I bought it. I just looked in, saw the shark, I saw one of the fish, and I'm like, oh yeah, looks like it's there. Yeah, it wasn't. Kind of felt good just to throw that away too. I kept the board. I listed the board. A lot of times, you can end up with, especially if you're buying at Goodwill bins prices, if you buy just the board out of a board game, a lot of times you'll end up with the same or higher profits than if you would have bought the entire game. Both because the board by itself can almost always go under £1, and you're paying less for it. That complete board game will usually be £2, run you $4, $4.25. It'll only sell for 10. Or the board will run you $1. It'll sell for 6 or 7, and the shipping will be cheaper, so you'll end up in exactly the same place. And it can be easier to ship if you've got the right stuff around to ship them. That's another thing. I got to get better at my box situation, since I'm almost shipping nothing priority these days because it's always cheaper to go another route now. I have really burned through my most convenient boxes that aren't priority, my most convenient brown boxes that I've had laying around. And I'm not really wanting to buy medium-sized boxes. I buy small boxes in bulk because they're hard to find in bulk. I just like to magically dumpster source and have people give me other size boxes. And there's a nice box my wife is able to source from her work that they constantly get this product in a certain size box that they have no use for. It's too small for them to ship anything back out in. So I do get this odd size box that I use a lot. But that doesn't help me for anything medium to large size at all. This video is not very exciting. I'm going to have to interject some screaming or fights or, oh my goodness, what did Karen do to me at the garage sale bits to make this interesting? Because so far, I don't think it's getting there. How do some people, they just open their mouth and they're just interesting even though they're talking about nothing? I wish I had that ability. Do you have that ability? Do you know anybody who does? Why don't you post a name and a link down in the comments? Maybe even point me some videos to teach me how to be interesting if I'm talking about nothing. I know I'm more interesting if I seem to be mad or angry at something, but you can't walk around angry all the time. I can't get real close to the camera and tell those deep down secrets all the time. Hopefully I can edit some stuff in. What's that?
Hey man, can you help me out with $1 or $2 so I get down to the gas station buy some cigars or
I'm sorry, I got no cash, buddy.
Do you smoke?
I do not smoke.
Okay, would you like to buy something? I got a gram of
once again,
$10.
I have no cash.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Gonna
Damn. What's up with everybody not buying, spending cash and shit these days? I don't understand it, man.
To be honest, I never carry cash because I live right next to a gas station where I do get approached by people on a daily basis.
And stuff. That's what I do.
Well, no, I get approached for cash on a daily basis.
I'm disabled.
Because of where I live.
Okay, I'm disabled.
I'm. It's not personal against you, but I get approached so often that I specifically don't carry cash
shit.
anymore.
Well, I looked at. They said there was like 500 homeless people. I'm almost here in St. Charles. I've been here my whole life, brother. I just got home.
Most of them live at 3rd Street and 370.
Okay.
Which is where I live.
Okay. North End.
Yeah, that's where I live.
Right.
And
I don't know. Okay. It's not good down there?
Well, there's nothing wrong with the neighborhood, but I mean, pretty much there's such a concentration of people that need help there that you get asked so often that it's hard to keep carrying, I guess.
Right. There's something should be done. It's not it's not their fault.
Right. It's not their fault, but the concentrations.
Squeezing us out.
It's all in one area, and it makes you kind of numb to it after a while.
Okay. Well, okay. Right. All right. I can see that. Yeah. I've been in situations like that too. Yeah. I am. Okay. Well, I just pray I find work. I need a cigarette until then.
So sorry, bud. And I don't have any cash because the ATM was not. Yeah, I was supposed to stop at the ATM on the way here, and both ATMs had been ripped right out of the ground. This is also the first time anybody has ever approached me and asked me for money when I'm sitting in a parked car. And also, I'm far from the normal homeless area here too. I live near the normal homeless area, like you heard in that exchange. This is far from it. So, not sure. At least that guy was honest about what he wanted the money for. So I'll give that guy I was just talking to one thing. He was a good salesman. He made multiple attempts to connect. He tried to sell it in multiple ways. He was pretty good. He could probably sell cars, although I doubt he'd be able to get the job. Usually homelessness has some underlying reason behind it that would keep him probably from holding a car salesman's job, and I hear that's a bad industry right now anyway. I certainly wouldn't want to buy a car right now. The used car market is still far inflated from COVID related things, which I can't believe it is now 4 years later. And interest rates are so high I couldn't imagine buying a new car. I mean, I couldn't imagine buying a new car anyway, but I couldn't imagine financing a car with current interest rates. I wonder how much of that I'm actually going to leave in the video. I don't know. If you get approached by homeless people on a daily basis, why don't you post about it in the comments? Or if you got any homeless friends, tell them about this channel. I could use the subscribers. Hey, hope to see you again soon.